So stay tuned for all of that. Time now to talk a little Florida politics. And for that, we bring in Peter Schorsch. He happens to be the publisher of FloridaPolitics.com. And this morning is one of those mornings why you want to make sure you register for his Florida political newsletters. You could follow him on X at Peter Schorsch FL. Buenos dias, Peter.
Good morning, Manny. Yes, it's been an interesting 12 hours.
It has. So I wake up this morning, and I think I'm going to talk to you about the political theater. You know how I hate political theater. The idea of sending the lieutenant governor to California to extradite this illegal alien from India who put the illegal U-turn, left 3 people dead because of his negligence. Now I read your Sunburn newsletter. I'm not sure the lieutenant governor will even be allowed back into the state. So I open this up, the first story, and just wow. Explain this text message exchange between our new lieutenant governor and Republican state representative Alex Andrade about Governor DeSantis.
It is. It's one of these things that. So the origin for it is I was questioning yesterday, why didn't Ron DeSantis go to the funeral of former House Speaker, former Florida GOP chair, John Thrasher? Mm-hmm. And an anonymous source sent me a text message exchange between then State Senator Jay Collins, this is from during the a few months ago, and State Representative Alex Andrade. And in it, Andrade asks him directly, do you think that Ron DeSantis has Asperger's syndrome? And Jay Collins, the lieutenant governor, says yes. And he says, he goes on to say the governor is still a successful governor, but yes, that he believes that the governor has Asperger's syndrome. And so this is one of these things where a lot of people have wondered, from like Laura Loomer and some of DeSantis' other critics, that perhaps Governor DeSantis is on the autism spectrum. Mm-hmm. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, Elon Musk is probably also on the spectrum, and he is the richest man in the world. So many people are on there. But we've always wondered about DeSantis's peculiar behavior, mm-hmm. When he bobbles the head, or why he wipes boogers on people, and
his lack of ability to connect with people while campaigning.
Yes, and you know it's discussed a lot privately. Nobody really says it aloud, but now you have the guy who DeSantis just embraced as kind of his heir apparent in 2026. Going along with the thesis that he is on there. So I think it's going to be an interesting press conference here in about a couple hours when Jay Collins is asked about it. I spoke with him, or I texted with him last night about it. He and I have a very good relationship. He, in fact, in the text messages says, I've always been fair to him. This is not a hit piece. This is nothing to do with Jay Collins, not liking Jay Collins or anything like that. I've had a very good relationship with both he and his wife. Mm-hmm. What he said was he was really fired up at Andrade because Collins' son is autistic, and Andrade had made some comments to Laura Loomer about DeSantis, and so he wanted to make the argument that you can be autistic and be a very successible governor, right. And he does make that argument.
Yeah.
So again, we're not trying to demonize it here, but it is. It is a really important statement from the lieutenant governor about what he thinks about Ron DeSantis.
This isn't the first time it's come up. The first thing I thought of when I read this was going back last year when Governor DeSantis was running for president, and somebody, I believe, if I remember correctly, involved in the Trump campaign, and I'm not sure who it was, put that out there that Governor DeSantis is on the spectrum. Because remember, there were all the stories about he's unable to connect. He's not really good at the retail politics, right? Getting to know people, yeah. Shaking hands and all, kissing babies and all of that stuff. And that was one of the stories that was put out there. Wasn't given a lot of credence and stuff like that just because of the nature of it. But it isn't the first time this has come up, is my point.
No, it's not the first time. The thing that I would say is the downside to whatever is going on in Ron DeSantis' head, and I hate to put any politician on the couch, but he's so omnipresent in our life, is I don't care that he wasn't able to campaign or connect with people in Iowa. That didn't matter to me. But what does strike me, and what does it angers me, is his genuine lack of ability to empathize with others. And we saw that really during the pandemic. I'm not saying that the response to the pandemic by the state government wasn't strong. It's just there's never a moment where Ron DeSantis seemed to acknowledge that tens of thousands of Floridians had died from this, from the coronavirus. He reacts to death in a very odd way in his personal life. His best friend committed suicide a couple of years ago, and there was no acknowledgement of it. And so I do see it impacting who he is as a public figure. Now, the what I call the alligator handles, the people that fight for the robots on Twitter, they're going to say, hey, it doesn't matter. This is the guy that fought for freedom in schools, etc. And I don't, that's a great argument.
Sure.
I just think, hey, listen,
look at the results.
I think DeSantis should have also asked Jay Collins if he thought that there was anything in his past that may present an uncomfortable moment. And I don't know that this came up between the two
and there was plenty of time to vet him, because it was all but decided Jay Collins was getting the job, and then he didn't officially get it until weeks later, reportedly, because the governor's office was kind of miffed that Jay Collins was already behaving like he was the lieutenant governor. So politically, you mentioned the news conference in a couple of hours where he will no doubt be asked about this, but politically, what do you anticipate being the fallout?
I think a lot of people are going to have opinions about it, and it doesn't matter. The only opinion is going to be basically one or two people, and that's what Ron DeSantis thinks about it, and to a lesser extent, what Casey DeSantis thinks about it. Will this be some pushes the Collinses away from the DeSantis, or will this be another one of the situations where Ron says, hey, if you're over the target, or you're taking fire, you're over the target, or some bravado, militaristic euphemism.
Right.
But what I do think is that this continues to slow down any DeSantis-backed candidate in 2026. The person that probably benefits the most from any daylight between DeSantis and Collins is Byron Donalds. I mean, this just keeps him at the forefront, in the front of the race for another couple of weeks.
He's Peter Schorsch, the publisher of FloridaPolitics.com. And like I said, the Morning Sunburn newsletter is my first read every morning when I wake up and go into